in moments of crippling anxiety, what is the worst that could happen? And we find that when we face into the absolute worst, we get the strength to stand up and fight. When we are faced with crippling anxiety in our lives, we can remind ourselves, once Arjuna surrenders to Bhagavan, Bhagavan starts to get into the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavan says, the death that Arjuna so fears is purely the death of this body, but not who Arjuna truly is. But Bhagavan can see that this high message is not landing. So he meets Arjuna where Arjuna is and gives him 3 very clear tips to destroy his anxiety. Now, in meeting Arjuna where Arjuna is, Bhagavan also meets us where we are. Seeing ourselves as this body, this identity, Bhagavan says, if ever crippling anxiety gets a hold of us, then there's 3 things that we need to remember to get out of this state. The first one is authenticity is everything. Bhagavan says, Swadharmam api chaveksha navikam pitumarhasi dharmyadhiyuddha cheyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Looking at your own duty, your own dharma, you ought not to waver, for there is nothing higher than a righteous war. Now, Bhagavan uses this phrase dharma repeatedly, and we know for a fact that dharma is more than just duty in its English translation. Dharma comes from the root vid dharayate, dharana, which means to uphold. So that which upholds us, that which is our true authentic nature is dharma. The dharma of a fire is light and heat. Without light and heat, it can't be called a fire. The dharma of a mother is to love. A mother doesn't love because it's their duty, but the essential nature of who a mother is. Therefore, when Bhagavan says Swadharma, one's own dharma, he makes the point that one must at any given time express our true nature. Now I get it, not everyone can do what they truly want to do. If I am a doctor, but I have love for art and want to be an artist, I can't just give up being a doctor and become an artist. The practical takeaway here is to align ourselves in our work with that which makes us truly happy. And if for some reason we aren't able to fulfill it, then in our day-to-day life, we can have a side gig. I may work in banking, but sharing this message is what I love doing. This is my Swadharma in action. And Bhagavan encourages all of us to authentically express our Swadharma. This is the first message. Authenticity is everything. The second tip that Bhagavan gives is running away is no solution. Bhagavan says, if you will not fight this righteous war, then having abandoned your own dharma, your swadharma, and fame, you will incur sin. People too will recount your everlasting dishonor, and to one who has been honored, dishonor is more than death. The great battalion commanders will think that you have withdrawn from the battle through fear, and you will be looked down upon by those who have thought much of you and your heroism in the past. And many unspeakable words will your enemies speak, cavilling about your power. What can be more painful than this? Bhagavan is appealing to Arjuna's pride, Arjuna's identity as a warrior, but he knows who he is as a warrior, and being reminded of his achievements in those moments brings him back to the state that he can be in order to fight this war. In the same way, when we are faced with crippling anxiety in our lives, we can remind ourselves, I've done this before. And even if it's not that specific thing that we're trying to do, we all have faced difficult, challenging situations, and our ability to have faced them once means that we can face them again. So that's the second tip. Running away is no solution. The third tip that Bhagavan gives to come out of this state of crippling anxiety is simply, what's the worst that could happen? Bhagavan says, Hato va prapsyasi swargam Jitva va bhokshase mahim tasmaduttishta kaunteya yuddhaya kritanishchayah. Slain, you will obtain heaven. Victorious, you will enjoy the earth. Therefore, stand up, O son of Kunti, determined to fight. In thus giving him an idea of what's the worst that could happen if you are to lose your life following your Swadharma, then the goal that Arjuna at that stage in his life aspires to, which is heaven, would be his to have. And if he wins, then he enjoys the earth, the victory, the reason why this war is being fought. So what is the worst that can happen? We need to ask ourselves this question. In moments of crippling anxiety, what is the worst that could happen? And we find that when we face into the absolute worst, we get the strength to stand up and fight. Thus, calming Arjuna, Bhagavan Sri Krishna makes him available for the highest message of the Bhagavad Gita. And what that message is, we will explore in our next video. Thank you for watching our videos. If you've got until this point, I'm guessing that you're getting some value from the content that I'm sharing. Of course, sharing the message of the Bhagavad Gita and making it practical and applicable to our day-to-day lives is my seva, my service to Bhagavan. But if you're wondering how you can serve, what seva you can perform, maybe you can serve those around you by sharing this message and encouraging them to subscribe. The more people who subscribe to this channel, the more chance we have to reach millions of Hindus and millions of people across the world who can benefit from the life-changing message of Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita.